Um, welcome back. Welcome back. You man, Dominic K in here. As I said, the DominiCShow.com, on fire-tv.com. A lot of things to get into. A lot of things that I have on the docket here. Mo'Nique and D.L. Hughley going back and forth. So much to unpack there. I mean, clearly this is something that has some history. These two comedians, but there's a larger conversation. So I mean, I understand that it surrounds an ongoing contract dispute, right, between D.L. Hughley and Mo'Nique from a comedy explosion in Detroit, I believe. So, but there's some deeper issues here at play. And this seems to be more than something ego driven, something between some comedians. And it seems to be deeper than that. And then also, we got to look at the fact that we have two comedy legends tearing each other down. Nobody wants to see that. We want to hear jokes. We don't want to see these two comedy legends tearing each other down, right? Is that what we want to see? I think that there is so much more. The conversation is deeper than this. All right. Let me say it another way. We should not want to see two black comedy legends going back and forth like this. We should not want to see that. Let alone a male and a female tearing each other down like this. Do we see white comedians do this? And I'm sure that white comedians don't get along sometimes. I'm sure that some white comedians have some beef with each other or some issues, but we don't see it out in the public like this. I'm sure that some Spanish comedians got some beef, right? There was some disputes with some Spanish comedians about something. I'm sure that happened, right? But we have these two black comedy legends going back and forth, and we have a public that is hungry for the drama. So Mo'Nique and her husband, whenever there's drama, her husband is usually sitting right there. So I mean, he either has her back or he is egging the whole thing on. Anyway, Mo'Nique and her husband, Sidney Hicks, they continue to explain their side of the story regarding Mo'Nique's supposed headliner status at a recent Detroit comedy show. So let's say that we have Lil Wayne and Drake and Kanye on the same show. All right? Who's the headliner? Can they all be the headliners? Yes. To me, the headliner does not only constitute who goes last. To me, the headliner is the top billing, right? Who got the most promotion, whose name is maybe first, whose picture is bigger. There's a lot of things that can go into the definition of the headliner. Because sometimes the headliner got another show. The quote-unquote biggest star could have another show to do and wants to go on earlier than the others, right? So in that instance, does that mean that somebody else headlined? If you were advertised to be the headliner and then you need to change the order, people change orders all the time, right? I've been on the bill with folks, and the quote unquote biggest DJ had something else to do after this, so he wanted to go on earlier in the night so he could leave, and someone else played music at the end, quote unquote, closing out the show. Sometimes people leave before the show is over. Sometimes it's a long night, and the quote unquote biggest name wants to be on stage when the majority of the people are there, and sometimes they leave before the end of the show. There are a lot of things at play when you talk about the headliner, quote unquote. I just think that this is a lot deeper than the quote unquote headliner. The quote unquote headliner. I'm saying the quote unquote headliner because, that is that's an ego driven thing. DJ Cool Rod, shout out to him, says that subconsciously this is taught behavior in the urban community. Unfortunately, that is true. At least it seems to be. It seems to be, because what I'm getting at is that it just seems like only black people are doing these public teardowns back and forth constantly. And when we talk about some of the, I don't know, disagreements that Mo'Nique has had, this isn't the first one. This isn't the second one. This isn't the third one. This is just the latest one. Mo'Nique and D.L. Hughley. So Mo'Nique and her husband went on Instagram Live, I guess for about an hour, Wednesday this week, after Hughley sounded off on his radio show about Mo'Nique's on-stage tirade. Now, I say on-stage tirade because Mo'Nique kind of peeled back the curtain, you know what I mean? Broke the third wall, involved the public in conversations and topics that were none of their business, were none of our business. We do not need to know the details of Mo'Nique's contract. Have we ever heard Eddie Murphy talking about his contract in his heyday, or Martin, or Kevin Hart? Does Kevin Hart talk about his contract and the terms and conditions of his? No. Cat Williams talk about his contract. Tiffany Haddish. Nobody talks about the contract. The contract said this and the contract said that. Nobody cares about that. You know what I mean? That's like some, I'm gonna take it back to DJing because that's what I do. But just nobody wants to hear you complain about the sound man, us DJs. You complain about the sound man or some chords that you didn't have or why you don't have the song. They just want to hear the song. If you don't have it, they don't want to hear no excuses as to why you don't have it. You know what I mean? They just want to hear the song. But anyway, here's where we are. Mo'Nique and her husband, because she needs her husband to support her. All right, there's nothing wrong with that. Hughley sounds off on his radio show about this on-stage tirade that Mo'Nique had. And she's talking about Hughley allegedly wanting Mo'Nique not to headline the comedy event. Clearly, these two don't like each other. And that's fine. There are people that I don't like. I try not to work with them, right? But there are people that I don't like. And I definitely avoid doing business with them, right? But these two folks clearly don't like each other. Clearly. One wanted the headline, the other wants the headline. Who should be the headliner? Okay. Now, I also think that there is a possibility that the promoters told both of them that they were headlining just because of the egos involved and the fact that neither one of these people like each other. If they were booking two comedians that liked each other, two comedians that get along, they wouldn't have cared which one. You go ahead, you finish, you know what I mean? Whatever, because the money part's the main thing. And if you have two comedians that get along and like each other, they wouldn't have cared who finished, who started, as long as the money was right. But these two folks don't like each other. These two comedians do not get along, and the promoters were trying to thread the needle. We're trying to walk the tightrope. We're trying to get both of them on the show, even though they don't get along, and they were telling each other, each one of them, the same thing, because that's what it was going to take. And they just figured, we'll work it out when we get there. I just want to get these two comedians here. And agreed, and they had the money and all that. Because if the money wasn't right, none of them would have got on the stage. They can listen. Comedians can get up there and tell you all this. I didn't want to disappoint the fans. Whatever. If their money wasn't right, they wouldn't have got on the stage. And they would have said, I didn't want to disappoint the fans, but the money wasn't right. How many times have you heard of an artist advertised but didn't come out? That's because the promoter didn't have all their money. So don't let these celebrities fool you into saying, I didn't want to disappoint the fans. They care about their money first. Fans, you're a little further down on the list. And that's fine. But that's what it is. So Mo'Nique and Hughley will have you believing that this is about a headline event. Who's headlining? I mean, if I didn't know any better, I think that the two used to mess around or something. The way they acted, and it ended badly, right? Mo'Nique claimed on Instagram Live that Hughley took her jokes about his sexuality, including making fun of his name DL, in relation to the phrase "down low" too seriously, right? Understand this. Okay, she knew what she was. When you say took it too seriously, she was implying what everybody understood, and that she called that a joke. I mean, ha ha, because his name is DL down low. Okay, we get that. And I think that's low hanging fruit. That's an easy joke to make. But after that, that might have been the only quote unquote joke that she made. Everything else came from a place of anger. Everything else came because she was in her feelings. Now, I don't know whether D.L. Hughley and Mo'Nique used to mess around, but I have some females that get mad at me or have been mad at me in the past. They act very similar to how Mo'Nique's acted. So did D.L. hit at some point? I don't know. But I just find it strange that a male and female comedian have this much animosity against each other, and it's just about who came on last. No, it's not about that. It's deeper than that. Mo'Nique says that I thought I was coming back being clever, making a joke. Because, back in the day when somebody was on the DL, you know what they were. I don't think you're homosexual, man, Mo'Nique said. I was making a joke. I can't believe you got Tinder, she said. But when someone says something about her, she's super tender, right? She don't understand why somebody else got Tinder. But Mo'Nique is one of the tenderest from Baltimore. She lives in Duluth, Georgia now, by the way. Good town. I like Duluth. And I used to live very close to Duluth. Anyway, she revealed that she had a personal grief with Hughley for much longer than this contract issue. She said this during the IG Live that she had with Hughley. She alleges that D.L. Hughley's radio co-host disrespected her with a "would you rather" joke about having sex that Hughley had talked about her and her business practices on the on different outlets. So she's mad at him. She got Tinder about that, but how dare he get Tinder because she inferred that he was on the DL. Right, because his name DL, low hanging fruit. Anyway, she said that, see, you got Tinder after you talked for years. So let me be clear to you babies watching. Saturday night, I don't care where I went up on that stage. That's not true. She does care where she went up on the stage. That was part of what she said during her angry tirade. I was supposed to close the show. I was supposed to close the show, baby. She was very upset. And that was clear because she felt like somebody's trying to take something away from her. She felt like, I'm always watchful and suspicious of people who make their fight everyone else's fight. Former President Donald Trump does this with his supporters. Whatever he feels, everybody else got to feel that something, quote unquote, happened to him. He's got to make sure that they didn't do this to me. They did this to us. You know what I mean? And Mo'Nique is doing the same type of thing. She's trying to act like whatever happened with her contract and what happened with her, right, affects everybody. She's standing up for everybody. All right. It's a very, very interesting concept, right? Just tuning in, your man Dominic K in here. We are talking about Mo'Nique versus D.L. Hughley and the deeper conversation here. We have these two legendary comedians, black man, black woman, going back and forth, tearing each other down. Why is it always us doing this? Why can't we handle these disagreements behind the scenes? I really wish that we could do that. But social media has made it such we got to have all of these disagreements publicly. We have to have all of this discourse in the public. And that is frustrating because it makes people think that this is how things are supposed to be done. They're not supposed to be done this way. Two professionals, millionaires, are not supposed to handle things in this fashion. They handle this like they broke, and they not broke, right? They not broke. We are supposed to be a little bit more professional. A little bit more professional. Let me read this, okay? Malcolm says, you know how it is. We supposed to take each other's side no matter what because we fellow black, which is not true. What do you mean by that? So you're saying that we're not supposed to take each other's side? Here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying whoever's side. And I'm talking to I am Malcolm on Instagram. I'm just saying sides apart that they could handle this behind the scenes. And everything is not for the public. And sometimes when you show the sausage making, when you show the behind the scenes, it just makes everybody look bad. Regardless of who's quote unquote right or who's quote unquote wrong. That's all I'm saying. That part aside. I am DJ Cool Rod on YouTube says, could this be a display of lower class? Only in sports and entertainment we see this. Upper echelon black men and women in positions such as doctors and Wall Street don't display this type of behavior. I agree with that, DJ Cool Rod. I do. I think that it's a mentality, but clearly D.L. Hughley and Mo'Nique, they're upper echelon. They have money. These are millionaires, right? Okay, so Malcolm says he feels like we're supposed to take her side just because she's our sister, but it don't work that way. Wrong is wrong, but yeah, they should have kept it off social media. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I agree. And I don't just take her side because she's a lady. And she's talking about Mo'Nique, she's trying to leverage it like that. She's trying to make it like about sexism and men, trying to hold her back. But there are a lot of things that play. There are deeper things that play here. Because every time we turn around, I thought we were behind this Mo'Nique, just wilding out kind of stuff. I thought we were behind this, right? But no. How many times have we been privy to Mo'Nique's tirades? D.L. Hughley's, said something which is true. It can't always be everybody else. And I think Steve Harvey said something. He didn't say Mo'Nique's name, but Steve Harvey said something like, you ever see a person that's never wrong? It's always somebody else. Has Mo'Nique ever said she's been wrong? I mean, I don't think she's ever been wrong about anything, right? Now, I personally like Mo'Nique. Every time that I've interacted with Mo'Nique has been good and pleasant. Mo'Nique is, from Baltimore, as I am. Mo'Nique used to come to our record store. Mo'Nique used to get club tapes from me, DJ mixtapes all the time. And she had a comedy club in downtown Baltimore, which I had been to several times. And so, this is before she was national. So yeah, my interactions with Mo'Nique have always been good. And I have nothing but respect for Mo'Nique. But I think that Queen of the Lawn said this: we're too emotional now and petty. Yes, very emotional. Very emotional, and everybody has a brand that they have to protect. Everybody has a brand that they want to protect. And so there's this, right? DJ Cool Rod on YouTube says that Mo'Nique is becoming an embarrassment to Baltimore. Oh man, I don't know if she reps Baltimore hard enough to say she's an embarrassment to the city, because I don't think it comes out. She doesn't wear it on her back. You know what I mean? She's been in Atlanta for a long time, so it just doesn't come off. Like, I gotta remind people sometimes that she's from Baltimore, but maybe is this the Baltimore in her that we see sparking up sometimes? So she claims, though, that she did not care where she went in the lineup. And if that was the case, we wouldn't have heard anything about this. But the fact that we did hear about it, and we did hear about contracts, and we did hear about, where she was supposed to be on the bill and all that kind of stuff, showed you that she really did care about it, right? She says, I was going to hand DL his butt because through the years, I've listened to this man speak so freely about my poor decisions, my life choices. And he spoke as if we had a conversation sitting down talking. So, she's, I guess, trying to communicate that it wasn't so much where she was on the bill. This was her opportunity to, kind of give D.L. Hughley some of what she's feels like he's been giving to her. And so she said she's not the type to go on a radio show or do an interview. So she had to do it on stage. And, I understand that some things that he may have said about her behavior. Now, understand this. D.L. Hughley does a radio show that is geared towards the hip hop community. So he's going to talk about folks that are, in our community, folks that we care about. And Mo'Nique has been in the news, over the last few years. And so it was normal for him to comment on things that she's done. So I don't know why she's acting like, oh my God, how dare he speak on me, because like I said, he does a radio show, as a lot, Tom Joyner used to do a show, and Steve Harvey does a show. And there are a gang of folks that do, morning radio, afternoon radio, that are going to speak on tirades. Like, I'm speaking on Mo'Nique and D.L. Hughley, but I don't want Mo'Nique to get on stage and say, how dare you talk about me? And we talk about stuff that's happening, right? Talk about current events. And that's all D.L. Hughley did. But yes, he's very, very opinionated. Mo'Nique's very opinionated. And there's nothing wrong with either one of them. They are personalities, and their commentary, their stage shows are built on what we see and experience in the world. So I don't think he was making a personal attack on her. I think he spoke about her, the times when she was in the news for different things that were going on. Just tuning in, it's your man, Dom McKay, of course, the DomMcKayShow.com, on fire-tv.com. And we're talking about Mo'Nique. We're talking about D.L. Hughley, and, of course, this back and forth. The Flywire and TFP Entertainment present the Flywire's 15th annual White Tie Affair. Baltimore's biggest and most celebrated event goes down Sunday, July the 24th, 2022, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Hammerjacks, the new Hammerjacks, which is an outdoor venue at 1300 Russell Street, 21230. This is the area that used to be the Paradox, for those that know Baltimore. After a 2-year wait, the party of the year returns with another exceptional, fun, and elegant red carpet cocktail reception. Music by DJ Kibi, DJ Tons, and Super DJ Big L. Tickets on sale now for the Flywire White Party at hammerjacks.com. You get VIP tables or whatever you want to get. DM at Flywire or at TFP Enter on Instagram. The attire is fly and sexy, all white. That's what they want you to wear. So it's a white party. The venue is outdoors with a gravel courtyard. So ladies, you got to make some shoe suggestions for you. Sneakers, sandals, wedges, and flats are highly recommended. Wear heels at your own risk. Can I remind you that this is a gravel courtyard? So ladies, don't come with those heels on. I don't want to see nobody falling and hurting their ankles and all that. Early bird tickets, $40 plus fees. No refunds. You must have proper ID, 21 and over. Please. Tickets, as I said, on sale right now for the Flywire White Party at hammerjacks.com. So we are talking about Mo'Nique and D.L. Hughley and the bigger conversation. These things need to be handled behind the scenes. Mo'Nique said that she thought she was safe with Hughley because they had spent time together, particularly at a party Mo'Nique hosted to watch a Mike Tyson fight in the 90s. According to her and Hicks, she felt blindsided by Hughley's alleged backstabbing. So she felt backstabbed. She also said that she should be higher on the bill than D.L. Hughley because he opened for the Kings of Comedy and she was the closer for the Queens of Comedy. And this was over 20 years ago. So, I gave my reference about Drake or Kanye or I don't know who, LL Cool J. Let's pick somebody who did something 20 years ago. And what you did 20 years ago may not necessarily reflect where you are at this moment. And I think that's something that D.L. Hughley referred to. So who should be higher on the card? It depends on what they negotiated. Now, I think personally, the promoters are really at fault here. I think that the promoters really set this up and they didn't think that it was going to blow up to this point. But the promoters had a lot to do with this back and forth that happened. D.L. Hughley said that he had not seen Mo'Nique in years. And this is true because Mo'Nique is referencing a Mike Tyson fight in the 90s. So if he hadn't seen Mo'Nique in years and she said, I thought we was cool because we watched this Mike Tyson fight together. Okay, Mike Tyson been retired for many years. And then she's talking about a fight that happened in the 90s. So yes, when D.L. Hughley says, I haven't seen Mo'Nique in years, I think that's probably a accurate statement when Mo'Nique is referencing a party from the 90s. Okay, the 1990s, when Tyson was, in his prime. Now, he did say that he was at her house several years ago and that he was invited, a fact that Mo'Nique does back up on her Instagram. But since then, Hughley had sidestepped working with Mo'Nique because of what he heard about her. He said he decided to take a chance on her, and he said that it was a mistake. Of course, we're talking about Mo'Nique and working with her. How many folks has said that there is a problem with the way Mo'Nique handles her business? Coolrod is saying Mo'Nique may need therapy to cope with her past tribulations with her family. So I don't know too much about what she dealt with her family. I like to, if she has some past trauma, why take it out on other people? D.L. Hughley says that working with Mo'Nique is an occupational hazard. Called her Queen of Ashes. Goodness gracious. A lot of back and forth. Also on YouTube, Beatman H says, bruh, you know what I see a lot of Black people beefing with each other. Yes, I mean, it is true. Beatman H on YouTube said it. And I don't like to see folks beefing with each other, publicly like this. These are supposed to be folks that people look up to, right? So you have a lot of people following these comedians and then them just tearing each other down, talking about the contract. Nobody cares about their contract. That's not funny, right? We're supposed to be talking about funny stuff. That is just not funny. And to have this Black man and this Black woman, legendary comedians, going at each other about this, it is unfortunate. So, of course, we have seen Mo'Nique with her past feuds. We've seen Mo'Nique get into it with Tyler Perry. We've seen Mo'Nique get into it with Oprah. We've seen Mo'Nique get into it with Lee Daniels. We've seen Mo'Nique get into it with Steve Harvey. We've seen Mo'Nique get into it with D.L. Hughley, with Netflix. But of course, it can't be Mo'Nique. It's got to be everybody else, right? It's got to be everybody else. It can't be Mo'Nique. That's what she would want us to believe. It says that she was supposed to close the show, But Hughley said that he would not come out, right? And Hughley responded earlier in the week saying that all you have to do is check the order of the names on the ticket stub, and you will see who is confused. See who is confused. Yeah, I just liked it when things could be handled behind the scenes. I've had many issues with folks over the years. You can call me up, come to my studio, come to my office, come to my record store if it was way back in the day. And folks did that when we needed to chop some things up. You come, we talk about it, and we chop it up, right? But what we have now is a generation that has to handle everything publicly. Everything's got to be done so everybody else can see. You call somebody up, they might be recording it, right? You call, you text somebody, they got to screenshot it because they need to post it. And it is unfortunate that is where we are right now. That we have so-called celebrities, and this is how they handle things. In the comment section, Corey Holcomb said Mo'Nique had no material. That's why she went on a 20-minute rant. Where is the funny? Good point. And it was not fun. Her rant was not funny. Plain as Jane on Instagram says that Mo'Nique is unhinged. She said Mo'Nique is too old to be acting 19. You're right. She's definitely older than 19. And this is not the way that she's supposed to be responding. Now, when you hear that Mo'Nique is difficult and you see how she acts, do you think to yourself, oh no, Mo'Nique's not difficult? You can see that Mo'Nique is difficult. You can see it. If things don't go her way, you can see clearly and obviously that she is difficult. Yes. You can clearly see she's difficult. D.L. Hughley said, against his better judgment over the objections of his team and 4 other occasions where he said no, he decided to take a chance anyway and work with Mo'Nique. And then here's what we get, right? And Mo'Nique said that she has been doing stand-up, and I'm sure that she will always be able to do stand-up. Plain as Jane on Instagram says that Mo'Nique is a liability, and D.L. was right about her being an occupational hazard. Yeah, I mean, occupational hazard, that's a crazy thing. Katanya says, love Mo, a hometown talent, but she's always in some type of disagreement and it messes up her career opportunities. Katanya, you are absolutely right. And like I said, she is definitely, from the hometown and all of that. She's always in some stuff though. And it just gives credence to the fact that she might be hard to work with. Also on Instagram, that Oscar got her feeling like a god. Oh, you're right. Yeah, she talks about that Oscar. You know what I mean? I'm surprised she doesn't carry it around with her. So there's been issues, of course, with Oprah, Tyler Perry, Charlamagne the God, and all now I guess you can't really say Charlamagne. Charlamagne might got issues with everybody, right? So much here. Let's see what we got. Word on the street, her husband wrote her contract. Ricky Smiley said she needs proper management because he is no manager. DJ Cool Rod on YouTube said that. Yeah. Now, I do think that her husband puts a battery in her back. Plain as Jane on Instagram says that she's blackballing herself and is a self-sabotage. Her husband places that battery in her back and she can't see it. You're absolutely right. I agree. Her husband is the source of a lot of this. He gasses her up heavy. So this beef is going to continue. Of course, we're talking about an Oscar. Mo'Nique won her Oscar for her portrayal of an angry mother in 2009's Precious. D.L. Hughley said, that's an autobiography. She is precious. So I don't know. I'm assuming that this is going to phase out, and I think that Plains Jane, shout out to her on Instagram. She says that husband as managers really doesn't have a good track record. It's tricky. Word to Wendy Williams, Tamar Braxton, and Mary J. Blige. I'm trying to think. Do we have scenarios and examples where husband managers work? Husband managers can work if they're good managers, competent managers, and they love their wives, right? I don't think that Wendy Williams' husband A was a competent manager, and B, I don't think he loved Wendy Williams. Tamar Braxton, I think that Tamar may have been an obstacle with that situation. Mary J. Blige, I don't think that Mary J. Blige's husband loved her. I think that he was out to get what he could get. And is he a capable manager? I don't think he was a capable manager either. So yes, you could be a capable manager and love your wife and be a good manager to your wife. But like you said, plain as Jane said, it is tricky. Of course, it's tricky. It's tricky with anything. Working with your significant other is definitely tricky. Definitely. So this beef is continuing. I hope that it dies out. I hope that they're able to work things out behind the scenes. I hope that they stop tearing each other down. And there is this narrative out there that Mo'Nique has been blackballed. I don't know if that is a fact, though. I don't know if that is a fact. It just so happened that the folks that she's been, beefing with lately, most recently, didn't go back and forth with her. D.L. Hughley is a comedian. These people were, directors and behind the scenes types. And so they didn't have the charisma to go back and forth with her. And somebody like Oprah ain't gonna go back and forth anyway, right? But Mo'Nique plays a part in this. Plains Jane on Instagram says that the business and feelings get mixed, but it ends in disaster. Family/loved ones as management is an obstacle. Hell, Beyonce fired her father. Yeah, you're right. But Beyonce's father, Beyonce's father was kind of grimy. You know what I mean? Beyonce fired him, and Tina Knowles fired him too. You know what I mean? And it might be for similar reasons. But yeah, your point is well taken. Family/loved ones, very tricky. Very tricky. D.L. Hughley also said that my beef wouldn't be with anyone but the promoter or my team. And I damn sure wouldn't make it personal. If you have a problem, take it up with management. And by that, I mean yours. Absolutely. Absolutely. Plains Jane continues on Instagram. This mess outshines Mo'Nique's funny. She is funny. Funnier than DL, but the mess is louder than her talent. I think Plains Jane on Instagram really summed that up well. I don't know. I mean, is she funnier than D.L. Hughley? She may be funnier than D.L. Hughley, but she doesn't come off as being funny now, because you're right. It does outshine. She comes off as an angry lady, as an angry lady, and that is not a good look. That is not a good look. I knew we weren't going to be able to get past this episode without somebody bringing up 50 Cent. I am DJ Cool Rod on YouTube says that 50 Cent just signed Mo'Nique up for the next season of BMF as a character. She won't try this crap on him. 50 Cent, and I saw that. We were going to talk about that anyway. But 50 Cent knows what it is with Mo'Nique. And I'm sure that she's going to be on her best behavior, but I think that he is there for it. It's just a different kind of energy, and she also knows who she can pull what with, right? She ain't, she may talk crazy to Tyler Perry and she may talk crazy to Lee Daniels and Oprah, but she's definitely not going to give the same energy to 50 Cent, and neither is Mo'Nique's husband. So Mo'Nique questioned the veracity of the memo that he posted, noting that it was not signed and it was not an actual contract. Mo'Nique was talking about D.L. Hughley posting his paperwork. She was like, "Where's the paperwork? I need to see the paper." right? And she posted something, and D.L. Hughley posted a memo, which is something that you have, before the contract. It is a, some of bullet points, some things that you want in your agreement, and it is not the actual contract. It is a deal memo. It is something that precedes the contract. He posted that, and it was not signed, a deal memo. So you have that. She posted a signed contract from her own company. Her husband obviously wrote the contract, and he found that problematic, as well as a run of show schedule that placed her as the final act of the night. She has since threatened to take legal action against the promoters, citing breach of contract. and y'all are wondering whether she's hard to work with or not. Plain as Jane on Instagram said that Mo'Nique can pick this deal memo apart all she wants, but his needs were met, hers were not. Make it make sense. You're absolutely right. He didn't post the contract. He posted a deal memo. However, he closed the show. She was on stage mad. So I think that we can clearly, make we can clearly see who won the day, so to speak, who won the day. And I just don't think that the fans are the winners here. I don't think that the fans are the winners here at all. Plain as Jane says, why should I be obligated to post my business, something as personal as my money and dealings, like a pay stub, online for the whole internet to see after a lady disrespected me, my wife, and kid? You're absolutely right. He didn't have to post the contract. He posted a deal memo, which did not have the dollars amounts on there. The contract had the dollar amount on there, and we don't need to see what D.L. Hughley is getting paid, obviously. So he posted the deal memo, which was something that highlighted all the things that he wanted in the contract. And to plain as Jane's point, she was the one who was angry. D.L. Hughley closed the show. And clearly, D.L. Hughley, according to Mo'Nique, said he was not coming out unless his terms were met, which means that he closed the show. And that's the order that happened. Mo'Nique tried to turn the crowd on D.L. Hughley because she came on before him. But I don't know what happened there as far as turning the crowd. The crowd seemed to be with them and with them both. And, they're either laughing at or laughing with Mo'Nique. I think it is more of laughing at. For the last 16 years, the Baltimore Crown Awards has been connecting, developing, honoring, and promoting the Baltimore scene. Get your green clothes ready, formal, semi-formal, or however you feel fly, because the 2022 Baltimore Crown Awards is an emerald party. Baltimore is about to go green. The nomination process is happening right now. This will determine the actual nominees for the show. They need your input. So take a moment to visit thebaltimorescene.org, thebaltimorescene.org. Tell them who should be honored at the 2022 ceremony. There are many great categories, from visual artist of the year to retail to makeup artist to movement of the year, and many more. Let your voice be heard. It is the 16th annual Baltimore Crown Awards, and it goes down Saturday, November the 19th at the Garage, 6 Lafayette Avenue in Baltimore, Maryland, 21202. It will be hosted by Desi Alexander. Tickets are just $20. For more information, visit thebaltimorescene.org or text Shinyer at 443-248-2596. It is the Baltimore Crown Awards. So, we've been talking about Mo'Nique. We've been talking about D.L. Hughley. I really hope that they can work this out behind the scenes. I really don't want any more of our business. And I say our business, the people's business. Two black people of a legendary status in their field, comedy, entertainment, you know, just handling things like this. I don't like it. I don't like it. And they may say, who cares what you like, right? But they're influencing people. Mo'Nique should not be taking things this public all the time. You know what I mean? Every time she has an issue, we got to see it publicly. So Steve Harvey responded to Mo'Nique calling him a coon during her set. She called him a coon. She called D.L. Hughley a coon as well. D.L. Hughley and Steve Harvey different. Steve Harvey kind of takes the high road. You know what I mean? But he was speaking on his morning show, and he stated, "Let me start by saying I could care less about what you think about me, because clearly I'm not your problem. Anyone who really knows me can never make that statement. You just trying to sound profound. But really, girl. Harvey went on to address the dispute between D.L. Hughley and Mo'Nique over this contract and the headlining and all of that we've been discussing. Steve Harvey seems to think that her management, whoever he is, simply stated, I got this gig, you co-headline. I promise you that's what was told. And that was incorrect information because DL put that contract online. He was 100% headlining. Co-headlining affects the money. If you're co-headlining, you're going to get the same cash. And I mean, you know, that there's a lot of truth in that. And you know, if you remember that time that Mo'Nique and Steve Harvey had that conversation, and she says that it was a heavily edited edition of the show, but you know, whatever. It is what it is. Now, we were talking about 50 Cent earlier, and I think it was DJ Kool Rod that brought it up. But 50 Cent is making good on getting Mo'Nique back on TV. And, you know, the comedian Mo'Nique, she may be hard to work with and all that kind of stuff. But he is putting her in an upcoming episode of BMF, right? And, of course, we know about the exchange of words with D.L. Hughley and Mo'Nique. Despite all of that, despite the backlash and whatever, 50 and Mo'Nique have maintained their working agreement. And, you know, it's going to continue. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens there. And, you know, I want the best for Mo'Nique. I want the best for DL. I want all these folks to win. And I don't want them to win at the expense of any of the other one. You know what I mean? I don't want them to have to tear each other down. We have too much to deal with, too many things trying to hold us back than us holding back each other. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok at The Diamond K Show. Of course, on fire-tv.com. I am here weekdays, 6 p.m. Anywhere you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, of course, youtube.com/DJ Diamond K, thediamondkshow.com, and on all social media anytime. I will be back here tomorrow for the On Fire Mix show. I'm going to go into the mix with Baltimore Club Music, 6 p.m. tomorrow. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I will see you guys later.
Visit OnFireTV.com for live top stories, breaking news, and original shows.